Okay, thank you, Mr. Andre. Yeah, it's my pleasure. My pleasure to appear on the air again. And right now for today, it's going to be a little bit different than we had it last time. We are here at Gulf and Blend Coffee Academy. And for the session that we are going to go through today, it's going to be a cupping session. And people are hearing cupping and they think it would be literally maybe only having a cup on your hands and I don't know, maybe doing something else. But this is quite so interesting. The cupping lesson, as we start, cupping lesson, we always ensure cupping is a primary activity that you carry on before you actually start preparing all the process of roasting and also even brewing your coffee. So this is very important. We went through all the areas that we feel like to ensure that each and every person has it's very equipped actually with all the knowledge to ensure that you can prepare your coffee either on your own or wherever you are. Hello?
Yes, hello, we can hear you.
I'm still, sorry, I was still explaining that wherever you are, you can still prepare your coffee. So this is a proper way that you can make your analysis to ensure that the quality of your coffee is meeting the standard that you're looking for. Okay, so with doing the cupping, you're actually looking at the analysis of the quality of the coffee. The coffee would be containing defects. The coffee would be containing any other foreign tastes. So by doing cupping, you actually dig deep into the taste profiles and you come with a right decision for your coffee before you brew it.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. We've given you the attention, sir.
That is my brief notice. And if everyone is ready, if there is any question before we start, I think I can receive those questions and then I can continue with the preparations as we explain. I will do the preparing and also explain the steps to ensure that whoever is following up can get the concepts right.
Okay. Mr. Abdul, do you want this to be you want it to be an open discussion whereby people who have people who are in a silent room can easily switch off their audio so that you can interact with them?
Actually, I think it cannot be at the moment. If I'm preparing, I think I can grab their attention, and after we have done all the processes, I can get some interactions with different people to ensure that some areas they get to know exactly how I did it and what are the benefits and what exactly are we looking at. In case there are questions, should be after I've done the preparations, because I cannot give the attention as I'm doing the preparation.
Okay, there we go. The audience is yours.
All right. So as I've said, when you're doing your cupping lessons, you're doing your cupping actually, let me say at home, at your coffee factory, you're doing your cupping at your coffee shop, at your counters, you are a barista. We ensure that cupping is very important because you don't know where the coffee came from. So most importantly, you would prefer to do the cupping because you are doing the analysis of the primary analysis of the coffee before you actually take it to your hopper. So it's more important for you to kind of prepare your cups, brew your coffee, and try to test it. In most cases, we test it and you take down your notes to ensure that out of the cups you're having, you're looking at this number of cups to actually give you a very clear foundation for the coffee you're having. Most of us receive coffees from different destinations. It can either be in green format, it can either be already roasted, but still it hasn't been cupped. During roasting, other places, or I would say in the different places of the world, you might find that someone having coffee roasted, but he is the only one that knows that the coffee he has roasted. But it's very important for you as a barista or as a manager or as a person who is a coffee enthusiast, it's so important for you to ensure that the quality of your coffee in your counter is maintained. The number one thing is the quality. So you're looking at consistency serving of your coffee as a barista or as, you know, a restaurant, a place, you're always serving people. They talk about how your coffee tastes. But it's always important to ensure that you are maintaining the reputation. So here we go. Number one, I would prefer to boil my water before I start the whole preparation. That's number one. So I've got enough water in there. So I'm looking at just dialing my button to ensure that it's brewing. Then I come back to my process of cup of preparations. So I would actually show you one of the coffee that I would have got it from a different places, and I would love to cup it. I would have another sample of coffee from a different client, and I want to compare all those coffees before I decide to get a proper decision on which coffee I should take on, which customer I should go with, which client should be supplying me with coffee. I have another client. Okay, so you might have samples of your coffee in a coffee shop and you're looking at which one is the best. So this process is going to help you to actually make a proper analysis to compare the quality of the coffee beans. So we go back to number one. I've got my 3 cups of coffee. So the standard would take you to about 5 cups of coffee for testing. But as an example, we can take 3 cups of coffee that we are going to cup and ensure that we get the tastes required. Okay, are we together?
Yep.
So, yeah, the coffee we desire. So this is the customer number one. I've got 3 cups. Why are 3 cups? If you are testing the coffees, you need to have
just a minute. Mr. Kayemba and Mr. Ricky, mute your audios, please. Mute your audios. You're disrupting our class. Thank you. You can go ahead, Mr. Abdul.
Are we together?
Yeah, we're together.
All right. So the reason why I prepare the 3 cups, we always use percentage. If I said they are 5, really you should know that they are out of 5. If they are 3, just know they're going to be out of 3. So I made sure that I prepare 3 cups of coffee for each coffee. I would say for each client that supplied us with coffee. So this means I'm going to start grinding my coffee and put them back in the cupping, in the cups. Each cup is going to contain 13 grams of coffee, depending on my size of the cup. My cups would accommodate 13 grams of coffee. I'm looking about 250 mils or 250 grams of coffee into those cups. So I've got my different coffee beans in there. I've got the same coffee beans here. If it is roasted, it would be in a pack. That's the reason why I've got it in a sample tin, and I also have it in a pack. So they are differently roasted and in green format. I've got the same coffee beans in here and all our cups. The first thing I should do is to get a little bit of the coffee beans to rinse off the grinder, because I don't know, or I have been using previously a different type of coffee in the grinder. So I need to rinse off with a different coffee such that the next coffee I'm putting in is the coffee that I want to cup. Here we go. So with our beautiful grinder, we are looking at adjusting or calibrating the grinder to ensure that you're having a coarse grind normally, because the coarse grind would enable you to infuse the coffee such that it brews very quickly. If it is so finer, the coffee is just going to dissolve into, and then it would be so much wet. So there will be no much room for you to do your cupping, because the whole coffee would have made a mess all over. So I rinse off my these have been weighed, 13 grams of coffee. Good. So I have to, so we can just tear it off to ensure that so that's 13 grams for our second cup. Okay. So it's a little bit a long process, but we have to be there. This is our third cup. I'm trying to be a little bit faster so we don't take a lot of time. Measurement. No, take more, that's it. Last one. Right, so here we are back. So I've been a little bit of silence. It takes a little bit of time such that you get the correct measurements and not mess up with your with different coffees. So you ensure that each different coffee that you're having has been grinded well to a coarse grind. So before you start giving in your coffee, you ensure that all the coffees are grinded properly. Now we have them grinded properly. The first thing we are looking at trying to test the fragrance, okay? So you test the fragrance of your coffee. These are the steps that you take before you proceed. So you can make your comments even before you start testing the coffee. That's the main thing with coffee. It's so sensitive that with only smelling, testing your fragrance, you can easily get to detect what exactly went wrong with the coffee during the roast, during the process of the coffee in the factory, or where the coffee was being sorted from, or even during the delivery. We always have issues with movement of coffee. So the assessment we are making right now, we are looking at the quality of coffee when it reached at your destination. So here I have to boil my water again, such that I maintain the temperature I'm looking at. So as we wait for our water to get ready, we clearly, have what we call tester's wheel, tester's flavor wheel. So it helps you to detect flavor notes, body, and also the attributes that the coffee has. It's always important to have it with you. If you don't have it, actually, maybe you have more basic skills within you already, but it's important to have something like that to enable you refer. We are having aromas, we have external changes, internal changes. We are talking about the characteristics that are in the coffee when you are already testing it. if you're testing an aftertaste and you're tasting the flavors which are present in the coffee, they have to be of your prescriptions. So, for example, I can tell you if you're looking for fragrances, like we are smelling, if you are smelling what you're looking for, since it's a fruit, coffee is a fruit. So we are expecting
ABDUL?
in the coffee. Yes, please.
The network is kind of on and off. Eh?
My network, you mean?
Now it's okay. Now it's okay.
Okay. Briefly, I was talking about the reason why I need to smell into the coffee. We are looking at the smell, really. I would say we are looking at fragrances because they are definitions that we use in coffee. We don't use the word smell because if you say smell, then it's something bad, I would say. So we are testing the fragrances by smelling. So when you do that, like that, you are looking for, since coffee is a fruity-based, substance, we are looking at fruity-like smells. For example, you might look at jasmine. Coffee blossoms are more intense into the smell of jasmine. We're looking at a berry-like smells. So those are more smells that we are looking at to be present into a coffee, actually into the quality that we may desire. So if you're getting some different notes at the beginning of your smell, you're getting some potato-like smells, so there's a problem with the coffee. It is either stored badly and the coffee was a little bit so moist, or the coffee had more of the coffee defects. You might have insect damages into your coffee, or the coffee had stayed for long without being roasted. So all those defects are not important. And if you test them, then the coffee is heading to the point that you might not need it. You will serve it, but it would not taste good. So at this moment, I think my water is ready. It does not have to be that too hot because it can easily burn off your tongue. So yeah, you can boil it to a temperature, but you give it some little bit of minutes before it starts, before you start the process. So yeah, actually, the smell is quite so beautiful. I don't know those who haven't tasted this coffee, the other side. I don't know how yours smell, but this is so fantastic. So you make sure you fill your cup with enough water. The last one. Okay, I need to make enough water to fill up the rest of the cups. That would be enough. All right. So I actually need a little bit of time, could be only 4 minutes, to ensure that the coffee infuses before I do the next step, which is called breaking. So as we wait for our water to finish up the rest of the cups, there's no problem. You can continue finish the other rest of the cups, no matter. These other cups were already filled up. We will follow the same procedure to also finish up with the other cups. Okay? You continue with what we did from the first time, the process of analyzing the fragrance. Now you've mixed the coffee with water, there is still more, you know, that aroma coming out. Okay, so at this time, you need to actually describe the nature of the aroma that you are getting out at that moment. So when I kind of, you don't have to put your nose actually in the coffee, because more of you going to be testing the coffee, and I don't think it's a good idea for you to just dip your nose in there. You use your hands. I would say you cover your hands like that onto the cup, and then you smell on top. This is how you do it. You put your hand there, and you can smell it. That's how you can test the smell, just to avoid contamination of your nose into the cups. All right. Oh. Very interesting. Okay. Okay, so I can fill up the rest. Okay. Sterilizing. Okay. It's a long process, but I think we're learning something today. Okay. So I think our 4 minutes for this coffee, this side, is ready. So the next process we are going to have, this is called breaking. And by breaking, you're looking at breaking into the coffee to ensure that the residues goes below, and also mixing the coffee to ensure that you get the right taste that we have been looking at. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You sterilize your spoon to ensure that you don't contaminate the flavors or whatever into the previous coffee, into your next coffee. So you do sterilizing at this moment such that you jump into the next cup of coffee. You do the same, you follow the same procedure for the next coffee. Understand all the coffees are different. This time is not ready. So after breaking, we are heading to another step whereby you need to clear up. You need to clear up your cup to ensure that we take off the foam. You take off the foam and leave your cup very clean. So interesting. So we follow this process to the last cup to ensure that you remove all the topmost layer and remain with your coffee. So your coffee is now ready and you're looking at our final touches, which would be cupping. So we continue with our procedure. I'm sure the 4th minute for this other last one is done. So we can also continue and clear the topmost foam. Okay, as we wait for our coffee to cool down, because it's very hot, as we wait for it to cool down, you clear off that, and then this has to be this. We maintain our water on the side, the hot water, for our process of so you need to have such equipments. You can use a disposable cup. And using this, someone can use a different tool. These are spitting tools. So this is a spitting tool. It's going to be a little bit funny, but these are the right procedures. Coffee, you can only taste coffee by yourself, yeah, to look for the better tastes that are present in the coffee. Okay, so yeah, as we always learn it from a lesson, they always say that on your tongue, you should have about 3 areas of tastes. you test it using your tongue, but it has 3 areas on your tongue that you can test and get the best quality of whatever you're testing out. The first is your front bit of your tongue and the sides, both sides of your tongue, and then front side. So if you're testing, those are the areas that you would actually feel within you, and then you come up with the better tests. There is no way that you can actually come up with a better test. There are more calculations we can have. You can use the coffee refractometer in a lab, but there you are you're looking for the total dissolved solids which are in the coffee. So still you're looking for a way of how does my coffee taste? So still the question stays unsolved. So going forward, I would use this spitting tool to start my cupping. So here we go. I think it has cooled down a little bit. Okay. Let me get my if I burn my tongue, I can use my thermometer to check the temperature. So for me, I can be sure now. It's coming to about 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, I think we are not bad. We can start our cupping because it's not too hot to burn my tongue. So by doing that, you're actually slapping the coffee, and then it distributes within your tongue, and you don't have to swallow it. You need to spit it out. It's the protocol, it's the way how this is done, and it's so interesting that if you try it, you're going to kind of be so interested in finding out how does my coffee taste. Okay, so I'm going to continue to all those coffees, try them back and forth, and then this is how you would actually understand that my coffee tastes better. I will give you a few of my taste attributes that I'm getting out of these different coffees, such that at least I know no one else is in here. I'm here alone to do the cupping, but cupping is always done by more people to actually join together and kind of compare notes to ensure that you give the right decision for the quality of the coffee. That's a little bit hot because I did it first. Yeah, so you do it back and forth. Since you want to make a right decision for the coffee, you don't need to panic. Yeah, you test it back and forth. All right, back and forth. So you can do it 3 or 4 times. Then you compare notes with others to ensure that, let me say, maybe this coffee is better, something like that. Why? Because out of the 3 cups, out of 3, you would say they are all clean cups. Being a clean cup, we are looking at there is no defects in any of the 3. Okay, so you would say it's 3 out of 3. Those are 3 cups. Now we are comparing notes. Okay, if one of the cups have, let me say, have some defects and it does not taste right, we would say maybe it has kind of potato scent. So the coffee is a little bit musty. Okay, so maybe it was kept wrongly and developed some molds. Now the coffee, by roasting it and having it in your cup, it's kind of letting out some unwanted, unpleasant flavors. Okay, so still, we have looked at a clean cup. Yeah, the coffee is rich into in a good body. It's good body because of the roast. It wasn't so medium roasted. So this is actually Arabica coffee, and yeah, you compare it with the quality of coffee physically, and also you try as you're testing. You kind of grab the feeling of the region where the coffee came from, and also looking at the size of the bean. So when you're making your decisions, you're being so physical. All right. All right. Well, after doing our testing, we are looking at different areas. We are looking at the tests, we are looking at the aftertaste, we are looking at the acidity, we are looking at the mouthfeel, and we are looking at the balance. So we say the balance would be clean cup. If all of them are clean, you say 3 out of 3. If you're looking at the mouthfeel, what are the tests you're getting out? The aftertaste, okay? Mostly, if you're doing Arabica coffees, they are more rich into, I would say, fruity-like notes. We're looking more fruity-like notes, and more people like doing a medium roast profile is more rich into fruity-like notes. So you're looking at its astringency would be a little bit high. So by roasting it a little bit harder, you would be creating more body to have flavors of kind of chocolate-like notes. So that's where you can grab a very nice Arabica coffee roasted from medium roast, and those who need it dark roasted. Still, if the coffee has this quality, then you are looking into recommending this coffee. If the coffee has defects, like it has insect damages, little bit moldy, when you're testing it, it is musty. So it is more roasty. So if I say roasty, that means the coffee has been roasted higher. Yeah, so yeah, more people say it is burnt, but I prefer you say it's rusty. So it would develop more of the rusty flavors. So at that moment, if let me say you're brewing your coffee, you will get more of the smoke values into your coffee. Why? Because the coffee was roasted higher. Unless you're looking at a specific drink that you wanted to do with that type of roasting. But that also can impact into a different, not a defect, but it would be under a poor quality that we are looking at. If it is a poor quality, if it is burnt, overburnt, it's a poor quality. If it is half-baked, if you're doing a medium roast and you get the coffee tasting, I would say, like more of a potato, something like, I wouldn't say real potato, but we are having that relation to, insect-damaged potato. So you get that kind of taste out of coffee, which has been stored for long and created more molds. And also having it half-baked. So those qualities are always present in the characteristics of a poor quality of the coffee when it's already roasted. But this also comes before the coffee was supplied to the roaster. So the whole chain would be bad, but the only person who can detect it is me. After doing the cupping, I can recommend. And I'm not doing it alone. We always do cupping and the notes. All right. So the same applies to all coffees. The same applies to baristas. If you're down there in coffee shops, you're in a restaurant, you're in a bar, hotels, ensure that if you have this setup, if you have a chance, if maybe you're the guy who recommends the coffee to be bought from a supplier, always have this setup, always have this procedure to follow before that coffee is being purchased by any superior at your premises. So I think this has been a very wonderful setup that we may have picked a little bit of it, such that it takes us forward to understand, dig deep into our coffee sector, and also love coffee as a whole. So I'm coming back to you, Mr. Andre. If there is anything that we need to add on, I'm still here, and we are here to give our best to whoever is watching and whoever is out there that needs our support, whoever needs us to cooperate in any way. We are here for that cause.
All right. Someone is trying to interrupt my video by calling, but thank you very much for your lecture. It has really been very, very nice. So those people watching from anywhere, or you're going to see this video on Facebook or YouTube, this is Mr. Abdul from Gulf and Blends Barista Academy. It's right straight in Uganda. I think I'll leave the description on how you can get him, how you can easily contact him, so that you go for further studies as to become a professional barista. So Mr. Abdul, I have some few questions for you, but I think let us first see in the audience. Mr. Williams wants to say something. So I think Mr. Williams, kindly unmute, then ask your question.
Yeah, Mr. Abdul.
Yeah.
Thanks for the good representation. Now I have one question.
Yes, please.
Usually during cupping, at last they do records, right? I don't know what you record after testing. I've done cupping before, but I usually get confused when it comes to recording. You get. So I want to know what do we record? Fragrance, the taste, I don't know. I will need to know.
All right. Actually, Mr. Andre.
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. After replying to his question, I would love to give him a flavor profile evaluation form, such that he can dig deep into it, he can look at it, and it will give you a really big and clear picture of where you're heading. Because it seems like you've done a great job and you are doing your research, Mr. William. So the notes we're taking, we take notes, for example, number one, if you're doing fragrance, if you, like I smelled from the first time, you take a notes of that, okay? You take a notes of fragrance. So always we take our percentage, which is from 1 to 10% of each here, okay? If we do fragrance, say you'll do 1 to 10, okay? That is the percentage you would give on what you have smelled. Did you smell, and you know, human beings, I would say most of us, if you are looking for a better smell, you always smell it and you would get what you want. If you're smelling that coffee and you get a bad smell out, then out of the percentage, these are the records you're going to give. So number one, if you are doing fragrance, yeah, you would look like, is it a little bit earthy, okay, when you're smelling? Is it spicy? Is it nutty? Is it moldy? Are you looking at a berry-like? Is it floral? So you're doing fragrance. And if you're under that context, you look at how much percentage you would give. And if you're having your form stated well, you can look at the areas that you can actually give your mark on that. Number two, we are looking at flavors. So if you're looking at flavors, you take your note as, are you getting, is it more like sweet, you know? Is it more sour, okay? Is it bitter? So we are looking at the flavors that you're getting out, okay? Are you getting some chocolate like, you know, spicy? Still, you get it present in your flavors. So you're doing an aftertaste. So when you do your aftertaste, it's the number three. You're doing an aftertaste. Are you getting it dry, you know, after tasting it? I know it could be so difficult for someone who hasn't, you know, done these practices to actually compare the, to compare my explanations or the terms, comparing the terms to the test. If you have never tested like the setup before, it would be a little bit hard for you to come up with a clear mindset of what exactly I'm trying to explain. But with the flavors, you would look at, like I have explained, so you're doing aftertaste. The coffee can be dirty at the end. When you test it, you would feel like there is some kind of presence of not a clean cup. So you would say the coffee is a little bit dirty. So that's the aftertaste. So we are looking also at the acidity. Mr. William, I'm still with you. So we are looking at acidity. Is it mild?
Mr. William, you have some noise in your background. Eh?
Hello?
Okay, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so if we are also looking at acidity. Is your acidity, is it hard? Is it salty? Is it sour? Is it winey? Okay. Are you getting the astringency, which is more related to, I would say, lemonade, you know, something like that? Okay. So we look also at the mouthfeel. Are you getting more of the bitterness? Is it smooth? Okay. Is it more, you know, metallic? Is it rough? So you compare to ensure that you get all those primary characteristics and then come up with your decision, okay? So then out of the marks you've been gathering, you compare all your notes and then you come up with the total score. So I think I've answered Mr. Williams' question and
Yes.
Mr. William, are you okay now with the question or you still want more explanation?
I'm okay, but I think I will need to visit him personally to know how to record down, because that's where my program is. Yeah. Okay.
Because while we are capping, Mr. Abdul, these days there is what we call, I think let me put on my video because most of the people are not seeing me. So there is what we call a Kotada form. You know a Kotada form, eh? It's an application meant for cappers. It's a Kotada form, so I think it's like around $10 to $15. So once you put in that app, it gets to line up everything: the body, the acidity, the aftertaste, all the things that we try to look for, and everything that you get in after capping the coffee, it shows you the marks and you write down the notes. Then it has a line through which you have to detect what you've got. Eh? So I think a barista is watching this video. Just download that application. It's called Ekotada. It's very nice. Instead of walking with papers everywhere, you rather move with your phone, and you know that the results are held in your phone. You just open it and you're like, okay, this is the coffee that I cupped from Gulu. These are the results. You get me, guys. Eh? So it has everything. So is there any other question? Is there any other question? I see another Mr. Strato 5. I see Mr. Abdulaziz. I see Mr. John, Mr. Ronald. I see Barista Annette. I think if this is the Barista Mama, let me hope so she's the Barista Mama, because that's the Barista Annette. I know. Then I see Mr. Ediger. So just in case anyone has a question, you are welcome.
Yeah. Back to you, Mr. Andre.
First rate, I see Mr. Abdul wants to ask something.
Yeah, my name is Abdul. I'm from Rwanda, but I'm Burundian.
Okay.
My question is that when you are capping, you know, there are the Mr. Illustrator 5. I don't know if it's Mr. Illustrator 5. They told us about different types of cupping, about when you compare it, about tasting, when is it sour or flavor or bitter. I want to know how to choose the best one. Maybe all the cups can be sour and flavor, and maybe he told us about cooperating. You can choose, maybe that one is sour, that one is flavor. How to choose? This one is not good and this one is better in that one. Is that my question? Is that my question? Yeah. My question is that I finished.
The question goes to you.
Mr. Andre.
Okay.
Can I engage to that question?
Yeah, it's okay. All questions are yours.
All right. So actually, I know. Thanks so much to that brother in Rwanda. That question is in everyone's heart, but they are not letting it out. I know. Most people have it in their heart. They know that coffee tastes bitter, and they don't have any other substitute to that. That's why it's so good, and I'm so happy to that brother of mine to have let that question out, so we can actually throw some lights onto that. So actually, I want to be so summarized to actually get out the clear picture of how can we define a good coffee. So I always want to refer always to each person who's a coffee enthusiast to actually refer first on a green coffee. If there is always a green coffee around you, make sure you smell that coffee. The first time you smell that coffee, it will give you that love of coffee to understand that when this coffee is roasted, it's going to taste better. So then we go to when the coffee is roasted. When the coffee is roasted, if the coffee was not smelling good, even the physical appearance was more pale, and the coffee was not so, attractive, at the end of the day, when they roast it, you're going to experience one thing. You will smell the coffee, do the fragrance. So for the first time, you will get some smells which are not good. That's why they will say that coffee is not good and this coffee is good. Because some people take more, they take their time to actually prepare, their green beans to ensure that it meets the standard which is going to be loved by people. So when you roast that coffee, which is fresh, smelling nice, when you roast it, you're going to smell more of, you will get like very attractive fragrances. When you try to taste that coffee, you will get qualities number one, you're going to look at, it will be more fruitful. Okay, if you're doing a medium roast, I would say, try to do a medium roast, and this coffee will be more fruity-like. So we are looking at those fruity-like notes into the coffee to kind of recommend a good quality coffee. That's number one. Number two, the coffee will have some qualities of, chocolate-like notes into it. So all those qualities are pleasant tastes that are in a good quality coffee. Okay, so the bitterness will be lowered down because the coffee has different, it's so clean, I would say. The coffee is clean. So when you test it, it will not give you like unwanted attributes into it, unpleasant attributes. Okay, so the coffee at that juncture, you're testing a good coffee according to its green coffee processing. If the coffee is bad, you will never get it right. The coffee will be tasting bad. Bitterness, the fragrance will be totally disappointing. Then your cup of coffee will also be disappointing. So if you want to test a good coffee, get a good green coffee beans and try it. Okay? At the end of the day, the coffee will be tasting right. Secondly, get good grades of coffee when you want to test a good coffee. Not undergrades, not low grades, such that after getting to understand your coffee, which is right, or good grades that you've chosen, you will never go back to undergrades because the coffee is so clean and it is meeting the requirements that you have been searching for. So I think I've dug deep onto my brother from Rwanda's question, such that he can clearly dig from my different explanations to actually meet his, get his answer right.
Okay, so Mr. Abdulaziz, have you got some of the answers that you needed, or you still need more clarification?
I got the answer, and thank you.
Any other question?
No.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Abdulaziz. Hope Rwanda is fine. Hope it's doing great. So we have Mr. Jonathan. Mr. Jonathan, I would love you to ask a question, any question, and he is going to respond to you.
My question is all about that. In coffee we use, you say that you can body in coffee, but what is the body?
Mr. Jonathan, the network is all on and off. I don't know why.
My question is all about that in coffee we use to say body in coffee, but what I want to know is just what is body in coffee?
Okay, so I think Mr. Abdulaziz, here you get a chance to explain the characters in the coffee, most especially the body. The person wants to know about the body. What is body in coffee?
Hello?
I'm sorry.
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Abdulaziz. Abdul, yeah?
About body coffee.
Can you
I
hear
have
me?
no idea about that.
Okay, Mr. Abdul, it's okay. I can hear you.
Yeah, I say I have no idea about body coffee.
Oh, sorry. Not Mr. Abdulaziz. You know the tutor is also called Mr. Abdul. So, Mr. Abdul, that question goes to you. Sorry, Mr. Abdulaziz.
Yeah, at least he has also tried,
Yeah.
He was quiet. At least he said something. So, yeah, if we are looking at body in coffee, I always want to give examples. If you have Robusta coffee and then you have Arabica coffee, both roasted. Hello?
Yes, we can get you.
You have Robusta coffee and you have Arabica coffee, both roasted. So most cafes, I wouldn't say most because some don't, but cafes tend to blend those coffees together. Okay, the reason to why they blend those coffees is because one of the coffees has different characteristics and one of the other one also have a characteristics which is more beyond the other. Robusta coffee has a lot of body. So if we say body, we are looking at the intensity, you know, the strength that that coffee has, yeah, compared to the other. If I say the other one is much stronger than the other, I would say Robusta is more stronger than Arabica coffee. So when they do blends, they are looking at kind of they're looking at a comparison and ensuring that you come up with a particular cup of coffee, which is not compared to any. So if you are a barista out there and you're looking at body, Robusta has more body. So Robusta is stronger, you know, in terms of, okay, in a layman's understanding, I would say body is the strength that the coffee has, you know, beyond, but you need to compare it to another type of coffee.
Mr. Jonathan, are you still on? I think, Mr. Jonathan, did you get the answer that you're looking for?
Yes.
Okay. And now to add on that, Mr. Abdul, when we talk about the body, that basically means the strength, like you said, the heaviness, the lightness of the body. When we, in a simple layman's language, let's look at the difference between mango juice and water. You get it? When you drink water, it quickly passes through your throat or your mouth, and it's really light on your tongue. You get it? Then when you drink mango juice or yogurt or something heavy, you get to feel the heaviness of the what? Of the body on your tongue, the heaviness of the drink that you're trying to enjoy. You get it? So there is that difference. When you're taking a mojito and when you're taking a smoothie, you feel the body, the weight into your mouth. You get it? Mojito is going to be sparkling, it's going to be light, it will have some citrus in it due to the soda water or anything. But when it comes to the body, it's going to be light on the what? On your palate. But the smoothie or the milkshake, it will tend to do what? To have a heavy body than the what? Than the mojito, which we call the density. So that was just to add on it, to make it in a layman's language. You get it, Mr. John, eh? So I have another person here, is called Restraint of Five, but is in a blue light. I think I would love him to ask a question. You unmute your audio, then at least ask any question. It might not be about cupping, it might be about coffee.
Hello?
I think, okay, he's going to ask a question.
Hi, Andre.
Hi, how are you?
This is Hassan.
Okay. I wanted you to introduce yourself before I introduce you.
Okay.
Okay.
Mine may not be a question. Anyway, this is Hassan Mkwaya from the Coffee Lab.
Okay.
I just wanted to throw more light about the body.
Okay.
Body is the coffee's viscosity, or what we would call the coffee's thickness or lightness. Like, how do you perceive your coffee on your tongue? Yeah, you gave an example about the milkshake and the mojitos, about the water and the juice. But when we take coffee during cupping, we need to test how heavy or how light is your coffee. when you're feeling it on the tongue. Many baristas, for instance, when you are in a coffee shop, we have like 3 types of milk, and then the full fat. For instance, after this meeting, you guys can go back, try the low fat, one is heavier and which one is light. And body in the coffee, it comes as a result of the organic acids and the oils in the coffee. So during the brewing process and extraction, we get those organic acids and the oils. They are the ones that create the body in the coffee. Right together.
Yeah, we are together.
And those acids or oils depend on the mode of brewing. Which brewing method are you using? So the different brewing methods have different bodies when you're testing. And another thing I would like to talk about is the strength. In most cases, we baristas confuse strength of coffee with caffeine content. Strength of coffee is mostly determined by the total TDS of that coffee. So the higher the TDS, the stronger your coffee is. The lower the TDS, the lighter, that means your coffee is not to be strong. All together.
Okay. So when you talk about the TDS, how does a barista, a junior barista, get to understand that term?
Well, TDS simply means total dissolved solids. A junior barista may fail to understand, but we have what we call a refractometer that measures the TDS of coffee.
Okay.
If you cannot get that, then you need to use your senses when you when you're testing your coffee, when you're cupping your coffee. And in most cases, strength of coffee is associated with the size, the grain size of your brewing method. For junior baristas who don't know how to use, for instance, the instrument that is supposed to be used for a TDS, you can relate with the grain size that you use, because we know when the size is finer, you're going to get a stronger cup of coffee due to high extraction. And if the coarser the size, the lighter your coffee is going to be, and then the body is also going to be lighter. So the strength, you can determine it from there for the junior baristas. But if you can access the instrument that we use to measure the TDS, definitely it's easier that way.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan. So, Mr. Abdul,
please.
To me, I wanted to ask you something. Basically, when I record my videos, many baristas like them because the approach through which I attack something, I want to make it in a very easy way on how, in the way that even John, the person who has not yet joined the barista industry or who has the love to join the barista industry, gets to understand and learn so that he feels like he is already a barista. You get it? So I get to ask it in a simple way. So when I was in Chili's restaurant, I think most of you know Chili's restaurant. I got a trainer. He's called Mr. Tambi Isaac. I think most of you know him. He's called Mr. Tambi Isaac. He's a very good trainer. So one day he used to come to train me, the person who trained me with D'Souza Dennis. So when I went to Serena, I saw the guys cupping. I was a junior barista, I was just starting, but I went to Serena Hotel. They allowed me to enter their section, but I saw the guys cupping their coffee to ask, and they told me that, Andrew, this is a process which every barista has to do. You get my point. So I, as a junior barista at that time, I never had I never knew that I was supposed to do that. I didn't know how to cup coffee. They tell you that you're supposed to get these flavors. You really don't know how am I going to get this flavor. They tell you, I hear dark chocolate, I hear this, I feel this, I taste this, but you can't even taste that as a junior barista. And you're like, no, these guys are talking about this. When I'm tasting coffee, I feel it's tasting bitter, it tastes sour. Of course, you can't, when you're junior barista, you can't easily understand those elements, the sweetness, the flavors. All you can hear is the acidity, the sourness, and the bitterness, things like that. So how do you help a junior barista understand the cupping, the reasons as to why we need to cup every coffee that we get? Because even on a point that I can give you, even the baristas that I work with, most of them will tell you, why should I cup my coffee? When I taste the espresso, it's just enough. So how would you help these baristas in a simple way for them to understand why we should cup? And the other question is that there are steps we have to follow while cupping. We have the steps before we cup. We have the steps during, which you've explained very, very well, and the after the process. You get it? So what steps, what are the things are we supposed to follow as baristas before we cup?
Okay, I think I will break my answer in about 4 segments.
Okay.
Before I reach to that point, it's yeah, I know it's important to have baristas well equipped. They need to understand all these processes because all of us are ensuring inequality of the coffee. So, as our brother in the coffee lab tried to explain, we have so much baristas who they are not more versed in the standard, way of explaining, the terms that you would use to enable them understand. But it's also important to actually let them know that this thing is always explained in that way. I would go back to body, the reason to why we had our brief explanation to understand the body. We are having different coffees, so we are testing different coffees. So if we are having our bodies, we would consider how strong the coffee is and compared to the other. We are using the same grind setting. So at least we are looking at a comparison in all the coffees to ensure that we are going to come up with a quality, one quality coffee. So it will beat the other because of its, quality. So if you're looking at body, my brother who asked the body, if you're having them differently, if you're looking at the strength of the coffee, if that coffee came from different region, different way of, different environment where it's been grown from, so it will not be compared to the other. It might be a little bit lower in terms of its body than the other. So if you're looking at doing your cupping, you have to actually compare all of the coffee differently. And if all of them are scoring almost the same, well and good, that means Uganda has got some good coffees during that season, I would say. So secondly, how can I help a layman's barista to ensure that he understands, how to do a cupping? So number one, I would say if you're in Kampala, I would give you a chance. You come at Gulf and Blends, we can help you at least to train you on how to understand this cupping lessons. Yeah, you can have our contacts down there. Mr. Andre has posted our contacts, and I will still give my contacts at the end of the day to ensure that whoever needs to be helped in any way, because this way you can still reach us. Okay. In another way, it's like, what do they require to kind of start preparing the coffee and then set up themselves? I would say that we have ceramics around, yeah? Just prepare yourself having the tools. For example, you need a cup, yeah? I'm having my round cup, you know? I haven't disposed my coffees, I still have it on the table. So I have my round cup. It doesn't have handles. You can use one with a handle, but I feel better having that because it's meant for cupping, okay? So I did out of 3. So you can do it out of 2. You know, the reason why we cup, and the reason why Andre said that it's important to cup, and he was told that, it's because we are being supplied with the coffee. Either it's a coffee shop with a roastery, and you are being supplied that green coffee. So still, it impacts on you to make sure that you have to cup that coffee before you start roasting a batch, okay? Even you who has been supplied with 5 kgs of coffee, which is roasted, you have to still cup it, because at the end of the day, this is going to be your consistent supplier. And if you've not cupped his quality, at the end of the day, you may get disappointed with what he's supplying you with. So you have to always cup your coffee. If he's supplying you, at least make your intervals of how you have to be cupping your coffee. If you don't do it daily of your supplier, make it a routine. Make your writing board and understand when you're supposed to be cupping your coffee. And it's so interesting that you can share that knowledge and not doing it alone. Yeah, you can share the knowledge. You can call people who are interested. You enjoy that, such that you come up with a decision. You know, you make up your decisions on the quality of coffee supplied to you. If it is bad, you recommend. If it was highly roasted, you can say, "Hi, man, you did not roast my coffee right for this time. Please ensure that the temperature is a little bit, you know, switched down such that we go back to our normal profile." Okay, so you are tracking down the consistency of your coffee supply in your coffee shop. So, Mr. Andre, I think I've given you some hint on how we can help our baristas do cupping at their coffee shops.
Okay. Thank you very, very, very much. This is really interesting. Is there any other person with a question? Oh, I think I can continue now. Mr. Abdul, some of us are not, me personally, I won't tell you that I like saying temperatures in Fahrenheit. You get it? So can you kindly tell me what is the best temperature to start testing the coffee, to start slapping the coffee to the palate? What in the temperature in Celsius, not Fahrenheit?
The temperature you can start testing your coffee from?
Yeah.
Okay. When you're testing your coffee off the boiling temperature, yeah?
Yep.
When we are drinking coffee, I would suggest, yeah, our temperatures that we consider, yeah, are always standard. If you are brewing the coffee, so that means if you're doing, like I have boiled my water went off a boiling point. So I let it cool down to about 98 degrees, okay? And then I make sure my coffee brews, because if I pour the water into the cups. Yeah, I let the coffee settle to make sure the coffee brews right, and at the end of the day, I'll do the breaking. So do that course at around 140, I'm sure 140 degrees if you're doing Fahrenheit. If you're doing a Celsius, then you can have at least something like 70, 80 degrees. I think that would be not so hot for your tongue, because we are looking at a temperature which is more relative for, human breath. So you put it in your mouth and it's not burning your tongue.
Okay. All right. Thank you very, 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 very much. So, guys, just in case you have any other compliment, because I think this was really a very, very nice cupping session from Mr. ABDUL, Gulf and Blends Barista Academy, Uganda. So, Mr. ABDUL, as we get to proceed or as we get to finalize with this video, because I think it has run for roughly 2 hours, kindly give us the contact and the place where we can follow you so that I can get to put them in the link here below on my YouTube channel.
All right. Thank you for this big opportunity. Yeah, I'm sure we are getting more coffee converts. Yeah, we're getting more coffee converts from tea, maybe. So they are converting to coffee, and I think it's a big blow that we are trying to fight. So at Gulf and Blends, we are in Kampala, Uganda. If you know the cathedral, the Catholic cathedral in Kampala, it's only 10 minutes from the cathedral. So cathedral is more situated, more located, I'm sure. Everyone knows where it is. It's in Kampala, I think in your west side of the hill. That is Rubaga Cathedral. So if you reach Rubaga Cathedral, we have Salt Media just next to there. You can even put something like 3 minutes, you're already at Gulf and Blends Coffee Academy. So you can reach us at on our contacts, which is 0701.
When you're making, sorry to disrupt you, when you're making a contact, especially when people are abroad or where, at least you start with +256.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah. Thanks so much for the correction.
Okay.
So much for the correction. Yeah, you can reach us on +256 701 104027.
Repeat it again.
+256.
Okay.
701
70 or 7010
4027.
Okay. Any other contact?
Yeah, I think that's the contact. You can reach us.
Okay.
Yes, that's the contact. You can reach us. And
So
if you're doing Facebook, you can find us on Gulf Blends. Just dial Gulf Blends, and you can check on our page.
Okay, no problem. So that's basically it. Any other questions? So I think with the next video, I'll be making an advert to see who is next, what's next, and what is the next topic about why we should be about the reasons as to why we share as baristas or the different coffee professions. So I think let's also give a chance to Mr. Hassan to say something as we close. I see his back. He had gone to sleep.
No, it's the network that is disturbing me.
Okay.
Anyway, thanks to Mr. ABDUL for the presentation and to you for creating this platform. At least it's helping. We are learning from each other. You know, coffee is wide and we get the information from each other. And to all the participants, thank you for attending. And to all coffee lovers, let's keep this up. We shall win. Let's understand coffee and everything. Because people are or on tea, most especially back home, it's hard to sell coffee now because most Ugandans love tea. So we need to transform it from tea to coffee.
That's great. That's great.
That's what I
So
can
thank
say.
you very much, guys. Any other compliment, Mr. Abdul?
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for today, I think always it's important to surprise people and make them like the whole concept. I have an offer.
Okay.
I'm having.
Your network is on and off.
Hear me.
Your network was on and off.
But can you get me now?
Yeah.
I'm having an offer.
Okay.
Yes. Number one, I'm giving an offer to 2 baristas. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can get you. We can get you.
I'm having an offer for 2 baristas that are willing to contact us. The first 2 baristas who are willing to contact us, they will have their full advanced course at a half price.
Okay.
And I'm giving an offer to 2 baristas. In fact, those are ones that are willing to train. They are not baristas yet. But now I'm giving an baristas, those who are willing to train, to come and learn how to do cupping. Only 2 of them, they will come and do it for free.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you really very, very much. So I think those who will watch this video and all those who are on this platform, you've had these 2 offers. Just get to grab your offer from Gulf and Blend Academy, Uganda. Then I think we shall get to pronounce the coffee industry much more higher. So anything else, guys, as we close? So I think with the next topic, I'll be able to run an advert, like you saw this advert for Mr. Abdul, and in the next video, I'll be telling you more. My social media applications, which is Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, not forgetting Facebook, and YouTube. I'll just be passing on an information. And just in case you're watching this video for your first time being on this platform, which is YouTube or Facebook, please feel free to subscribe. Ask any question in the comment section below. And just in case you're watching on my Facebook page, please feel free to follow and share this video wherever you are, so that we can easily compound our coffee industry at large to the world. So thank you very much, everyone. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Mr. Abdul. Thank you so much, Mr. Jonathan, Mr. Hassan, Mr. Don Williams, Mr. Edgar, and not forgetting me for attending this class, today's class. I really appreciate your time, your effort, because I know it's not easy to do this. Thank you very much, guys.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Andre.
Okay.
Greetings to everyone who has been attending for their attention to kind of give us time and listen to us and also learn with them. So I'm so pleased that they have been part of the whole process from the beginning.
All right, we really also appreciate it. I think this is it for me.
Is it okay?
Pardon?
I would love to send my regards. I know many people had to just wait for me and they start watching as in how we are going through the whole session. I just want to send them regards.
It's
so,
okay.
All right, send my regard to Mr. Bonnie. I know you're watching. Yeah, Bonnie. My regards to Mr. Alex, Mugisha Alex. I know you're watching. Yeah, my great regards to Ahmed Ismail. I know you're also watching from Hoima. Yeah, thanks so much, guys, for loving us. Thanks for loving coffee. Thank you so much. We meet next time.
All right. So, Mr. Edgar, you had not asked a question, and you're the most person who asks questions. Why didn't you ask a question today?
Oh, today I was very attentive, and everything I grabbed.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Hope you
Yeah.
enjoyed the session.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right, guys. So I'll be ending this session right now. I'll see you in another class.